Hello everyone, Huma-Huma here, and welcome to a special Easter review. Well, Easter is here, and there's no better time to celebrate than to review another Easter special. But with all the ones that I reviewed and I'm familiar with, it's time to look at ones that I'm unfamiliar with, or never seen before, but are noticed in some way. And one of these holiday specials is done by Hanna-Barbera, and starring one of their many popular characters, Yogi the Easter Bear. The park rangers of Jellystone Park are preparing for the park's annual Easter Jamboree and the start of camping season. But Ranger Smith alerts the other rangers that Supreme Commissioner Clarence is visiting the park with his grandchildren and is afraid of things going wrong, as the commissioner hates problems and would change the park if one thing goes wrong. And one thing starts to go wrong as Yogi Bear ate all of the eggs and candy for the Jamboree, using Smith's Easter Bunny costume to fool Ranger Mortimer, who's guarding the candy. Yet with the kids arrived, the candy gone, and the bunny costume ruined, Smith plans to send Yogi to the Siberian circus the following day. Feeling bad about causing this, Yogi decides to make things right, and with Boo Boo at his side, the two bears try to find where the real Easter Bunny is, and to bring him to Jellystone to bring in more eggs and candy. All the while, the commissioner arrived with his grandkids, and Smith tries to entertain the children as a distraction. And there's even a subplot involving two bad guys named Polly and Ernest, who kidnap the Easter Bunny and plan to sell plastic eggs to people, and get rid of the real eggs. Even though Hanna-Barbera is a studio that I have mixed feelings for, Yogi Bear is one of those characters that just doesn't grab me, despite how simple his setup is, and this one Easter special is generally okay. For the most part. There really isn't anything too bad about it, but some of the things that happen do fall flat and sometimes don't help much. The slapstick is your basic cartoon slapstick. It is pretty standard, generic, and kind of done to death. The animation, while not bad, has a few mistakes in it that can't be avoided, like Boo Boo's colored differently at one point. But the biggest issue I have with the special is with the two bad guys, Polly and Ernest. Outside of their plan, which I'll get into in a bit, they are the most cliché of character stereotypes. One is short and smart and has a silly voice or an accent, and the other is tall and dumb with a stupid guy voice. And for the most part, these guys are pointless. They weren't referenced anywhere else, they weren't caught in the end, and this special would roughly be a half-hour long if they were cut from it altogether. They're just not that fun, even when Polly goes crazy talking about his plan. There's even a bear named Grand Grizzly, who tells Yogi and Boo Boo where to find the Easter Bunny, but even he's a cliché of nothing but old men clichés, like walking with a cane, using a horn for hearing, trying to think and getting something wrong, and his one big joke of mistaking a radio for a TV. And yeah, he isn't funny. There's even a few human stereotypes like Ranger Mortimer, who wears very thick glasses because he's blind, and the commissioner is often huge and mean, resulting in the old drill sergeant / old general clichés, and he also wears sunglasses because of said cliché. And even the pacing is kind of all over the place. Sometimes it's a bit rushed, sometimes it feels slow, and sometimes it's paced okay. But those are the stuff that I didn't like, because the other stuff is all fine. Again, the slapstick, even though most of it isn't funny, has a few that I like, such as Ranger Smith getting a fish in his mouth, and Ernest accepting a dynamite-filled basket that he was supposed to use for the chicken coop, as that's where the Easter Bunny gets his eggs from. And speaking of eggs, this leads me to talk about the bad guys' plan, which is sort of interesting. They plan to sell plastic eggs and get rid of the real eggs. I mean, yes, the special makes it look like a bad thing as it's getting rid of a timeless and classic tradition, but it's very ironic nowadays since plastic eggs are everywhere and painting eggs are becoming less prominent. And this special came out in 1994 when plastic eggs were starting to become a big thing and weren't too common, as painting eggs were still happening. So it seems like the villain's plan isn't that big of a problem, but the stuff Polly mentions are kind of legit, except that plastic eggs can be reused and one or two bits he said are just of the time. Though I do wonder why the plastic started out looking like the pink poop from Digimon but smaller, and then come out not looking perfect, but what do I know? And the actors voicing the characters are also fine as they are. Greg Burson voices Yogi Bear, Don Messick voices Boo Boo and Ranger Smith, Charlie Adler voices Polly, Jeff Doucette voices Ernest, Rob Paulson voices the Easter Bunny, Jonathan Winters voices Ranger Mortimer, Greg Berger voices Supreme Commissioner Clarence, Ed Gilbert voices Grand Grizzly on Guard Dog, and Marshall Clark voices Female Ranger. As a whole, the special is okay. The characters are fine, despite some being cliched to death. The story is alright, and the animation is okay. Director Robert Alvarez had made an Easter special that is alright as a Yogi Bear special, but it's kind of nothing as a holiday special. It doesn't have any charm like the Rankin Bass Easter specials or the Easter Beagle Peanut special, and it's not too funny in what it offers. But certain plot elements are interesting and a few jokes do actually work. Yet the pacing sometimes feels off, the bad guys are sometimes pointless and not used well enough, and the cartoon slapstick is pretty tiring with only a couple of exceptions. This isn't one of those specials I think about or watch a lot when it comes to Easter, but with seeing it among other specials for the holiday, and even for what it brings, I really don't blame anyone who enjoys it, and I give it a little credit for a couple of nice things. So today, this special we get a rating of 2.5 big stars. So thank you for joining me. Like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Facebook or Twitter, support me on Patreon. Till next time for a new video, and have a happy Easter.